Hello and welcome to another edition of ProtoMet's First Impressions, where I give my thoughts on the first episode of any new tokusatsu show. Except today's a bit different. I'm not talking about a tokusatsu show, I'm talking about an anime, specifically Fuuto or Fuuto PI, as its English title gives it, which is, if you are not aware, a sequel to a tokusatsu show, so it kinda counts. Specifically, this is an anime adaptation of the manga Fuuto, which is a sequel to Kamen Rider Double, which is one of my favorite seasons. I'm a fan. But that having been said, I've actually read more of the manga than this first episode covers. So I actually know, for once, I actually know a bit more about where the series is heading in terms of its plot. But I haven't read it in a while, so this is a bit of a refresher for me. But I do like how this first episode starts with basically an anime recreation of the opening scene of Kamen Rider Double itself, complete with a lack of context for what's actually happening. Though, again, that's just like the tokusatsu show. The show did eventually explain what was going on during that opening scene in the form of a movie, so there is a place to find an explanation for what's happening, but that's nice. Also, throughout this first episode, we are basically given a brief summary of Shotaro of the lead character, Shotaro Hidari. I almost said Ishinomori because for those of you who don't know, Shotaro Ishinomori was a prolific manga author who created the Kamen Rider series. And Shotaro Hidari is named after him, at least in terms of the given name. And this episode basically helps to re-establish for anybody who didn't watch Kamen Rider Double that this guy is a self-proclaimed hard-boiled detective who is actually pretty half-boiled, which does come across pretty quickly when you realize that he's trying to take a cool photo of himself to send to people, which does get in the ire of his boss, Akiko, who the episode reveals is married to a police officer. She's running a detective agency, which she inherited from her dad, by the way, while also married to a police officer. Again, this is a sequel to Kamen Rider Double, so this is all stuff that people who are already into the series are well aware of. This is just kind of helping to establish when relatively it occurs. Specifically, this is occurring after the it's one of the second of the Movie War films, the one that was a crossover between Double and O's. Movie War Core, I want to say? Yeah, that sounds right. And probably even after the Kamen Rider XL special, which was also set after that, but that's basically, it's all stuff that anybody who's aware of, who's watched through the original series, is aware of. We even get throughout the episode, get a couple cameos of characters from the show, such as Queen and Elizabeth, Santa-chan, and more prominently, Watcherman, but get to that in a bit. But anyway, Akiko calls Shotaro to complain about the photo and tells him to come back because they've got a late customer coming in, a late client coming in. And as he's heading to leave, he encounters this mysterious woman who disappears off the end of the dock, which leaves him curious. But he gets back to the office. They meet up with the new client, who is actually trying to find this mystery girl that Shotaro had encountered, because she had A, stolen money from him, and B, he's become smitten with this girl. Shotaro does explain to Akiko that he had encountered this girl, and Shotaro's partner, Philip, shows interest as well, but Shotaro decides he's going to work this case alone, since he's got a bit of a personal interest in it. And he does end up, and during his investigation, with the help of the aforementioned Watcher Man, he does encounter this mysterious girl whom he learns is named Tokime, and he chases her on his motorcycle while she's running and walking on air, apparently. It gets strange, and he ends up winding up in some back alley that leads to the inside of like a real estate build agency or something. I mean, clearly the guys he encounters are Yakuza, but for all intents and purposes, they are probably legally land sellers, real estate agents. Sure. But it's during the follow-up investigation with the police officers who arrive, who are also from the TV show, Shotaro learns that this mystery witch girl that he's searching for may be involved with a murder that occurred recently behind the building. And this is where we get the revelation that this show is a bit grimmer than Kamen Rider just in general is normally. I mean, Kamen Rider in general is kind of dark, but Kamen Rider Double, rather specifically, was a lot more lighthearted in terms of its content, and this is a dismembered corpse kind of helping to shift the tone away from this is kind of a silly show to oh death has consequences. Oh. But ultimately, it's thanks to his further investigation that he's able to find out where the mysterious Tokime is, and even brings along the client who wants to meet up with her again. And while chasing this witch, who is initially found bathing in a water fountain, which is a lot more explicit in the manga, I must say. They cut out some nudity for the anime, which I can understand. They wind up back in the back alleys and are shot upon with lasers from something. But it's also, as she's fleeing, it's revealed that she has a Gaia memory, which are the devices that the villains of Kamen Rider Double use to transform into monsters. So we've got a mystery girl with a Gaia memory, and some mysterious entity that's shooting at our heroes. That's shooting at our hero from some mysterious back alley dimension that's not part of the town. It's at this point that Shotaro's partner Philip shows up, and they head off to face whatever's attacking them, and then the episode ends. And that's kind of disappointing, because I was kind of hoping to see them transform, but admittedly, the first chapter of the manga was also pretty much a tease for not actually having Kamen Rider Double show up at all. So I can't really blame this episode for being a bit stingy on that. Besides, we at least got a transformation sequence during the opening scene, even if it was just a recreation of the opening scene of the show. So I can't complain too much. We at least got our Kamen Rider action. And that having been said, I am definitely interested in reading a bit. I'm itchy. I'm definitely interested in checking out more of this show. And I'm glad that even if Kamen Rider Double as a whole isn't really accessible here in the US just quite yet, at least not through legal means, I'm still glad that we are able to get its sequel and enjoy that thanks to the deal made with Funimation, and as a result, Crunchyroll. So go check it out on Crunchyroll. Support the official release. Because for once we actually get one. We're not having to jump through hoops to try and find a copy this time around. So, yeah, go check it out. It's definitely setting up a mystery that's going to be pretty interesting to follow. Again, I have read actually further into the manga than this first episode reveals, so I actually know where some of this story is going, but it's been a while since I've read anything, and I really do need to get caught up, so see where this plot is going in that regard. But what we currently have in terms of the anime is quite good. I'm a little disappointed that they weren't able to get really any of the actors from the show to reprise their roles for this anime, but I was also kind of expecting that to be the case in the first place, so I'm not too disappointed. For clarification, I was expecting them to have different voice actors than the actors on the show, and that's just that's to be expected given the medium of anime and the fact that one of the stars of the show has gone on to be a bigger star than he was when the show was originally airing. So, probably a bit hard to get him back. But it does mean that Shotaro does sound a bit different. I think he sounds a bit gruffer than the live action counterpart, whereas... So, it definitely makes him sound a bit less like a try-hard, which he totally is, and more of like an actual suave, debonair detective, even though he really isn't. That is kind of a bit of a downside to this, but it's one I'm able to look past for the time being, because I know that as the more along I get, I'll become more used to how these new iterations of the characters sound. So, yeah. Definitely going to check more out. Go watch it. So, until next time, this has been me, ProtoMet. See ya.